Most orthopedic surgeons know their salary. Very few know their true hourly rate. And the gap between those two numbers explains more about career dissatisfaction than almost anything else you'll ever hear this year. I ran this calculation on my own career after 25 years and more than 12,000 joint replacements. That number changed how I made every decision that followed. Today, I'm going to give you a 5-step framework to evaluate your compensation with the same precision you bring to surgical planning. This isn't about what your contract says you earn, what your time, your expertise, and your outcomes are actually worth. By the end of this video, you'll have a number you have probably never calculated and a scenario you have probably never modeled. Hi, I'm Tyler Goldberg. I'm the fellowship-trained orthopedic surgeon who spent years inside of the high-volume system before realizing something important. The model itself was the problem. So I flipped the script and I built a different kind of practice, one centered around time, alignment, autonomy, and patient relationships. And once I saw the economics could actually work, I started helping other surgeons do the exact same thing through NAOCA. And that's what this channel is all about. I'm not going to complain about RVUs today. You have already heard that conversation. You already understand that that compensation model has problems. What I've never seen anyone do is give surgeons an actual analytical tool to evaluate their own situation with precision. That is what this video is about to do. A framework you can apply to your own practice tonight. Not theory, not commentary. A true diagnostic tool for your compensation. I call it the Compensation Clarity Framework. It's just 5 simple steps, and let me walk you through it. Step 1. The first step is to calculate your true hourly rate. Not your contracted rate, not your per RVU conversion, your actual hourly rate when you account for every hour the system consumes. Take your total annual compensation. That number is pretty easy. Every surgeon knows it for sure. Now divide it by your actual hours worked. And this is where it gets honest. Actual hours means time in the OR, time in clinic, documentation time, callbacks, prior authorizations, peer reviews, committee meetings, compliance requirements, on-call coverage, CME obligations, credentialing, traveling between 2 different facilities, all of it. Not contracted hours, not scheduled hours. Every hour your career consumes in a representative year. Most surgeons have never run this calculation. They know their salary, they know their RVU rate, but they have never divided total compensation by the hours the system actually takes of them. How much of your life does your system take from you per year? I remember sitting alone at my computer late at night after what should have been one of my biggest months of my career. Record surgical volume, packed clinics, endless operating days. Instead of feeling successful, I was staring at spreadsheets trying to figure out where the value actually went. I was auditing collections. I was looking at case counts, trying to understand why record production never seemed to translate proportionally into compensation 30 to 60 days later. And what made it worse was that this was happening after full days in the clinic, full OR schedules, meetings, documentation, administrative work, all layered on top of the physical and mental fatigue I kept while caring for patients. I kept arriving at the same realization. No matter how hard I worked inside that structure, I was never going to be compensated in a way that truly reflected the level of expertise, judgment, or value that I created. And then something happened that I still think about all the time. I had a plumber come to my house on Christmas Day for an emergency repair. He looked at me and said, "Well, just like medicine, plumbing knows no weekends or holidays." That caught me totally off guard. That's what I say all the time, right? Well, he told me he used to be a family practitioner. He left medicine because he realized he would never truly control his value, his compensation, or his lifestyle inside the medical system. Now he's a plumber making more money with more autonomy over his life. That conversation stayed with me because what hit me was not that medicine was a bad profession. It was that the structure surrounding medicine had become deeply disconnected from the value physicians actually create. And once you see that clearly, you cannot unsee it. Now, let me give you a realistic example. Let's say a surgeon earns $650,000 a year. They work about 2,800 actual hours a year, which includes all their non-clinical time as well. So they have a true hourly rate of roughly $232 per hour before taxes, before malpractice, before benefits. Now compare that to professionals with comparable training, comparable liability, and comparable decision-making stakes in other industries. The numbers do not compare favorably. That's not a complaint, it's just a measurement. For example, I play golf with a certain friend of mine who's an attorney. We were talking one day about what their hourly rate is, and he's just trying to hang on till he can get to retirement. His hourly rate is just under $3,000 an hour. Ours, full tilt, $232 an hour. And the measurements are how you make informed decisions. The question this step answers is simple. What am I actually being paid for every hour of my life this career consumes? If that calculation is already having you think differently about your week, I want you to know something. You're not the only surgeon feeling this. If you're wondering whether Concierge Orthopedics could actually fit in your practice, your personality, and your long-term goals, go to orthopedic-concierge.com and take the quiz. It's specifically designed for experienced orthopedic surgeons trying to determine whether this model is actually the right fit for them. Now, let's keep going. The second step is to map your time allocation one representative week. Not your best week, not your worst week, a normal week. The categories are simple: direct patient care, time in the operating room, documentation, administrative overhead, system overhead, personal overhead. Track 1 week honestly. Don't estimate it from memory. Actually track it as the week happens. Most surgeons who do this discover that 40 to 50% of their total working time is consumed by non-clinical work, sometimes even more. And the percentage itself is not even the point. The point is clarity. You would never operate without imaging. You would never plan a case without understanding the anatomy. This is the imaging study for your practice. Most surgeons have never ordered it. The question this step answers: where does my time actually go versus where does it create value? The third step is to identify where your value and your compensation diverge. This is not abstract. You restore mobility, you relieve pain, you help people return to their lives, their families, and their independence. A successful joint replacement can create decades of improved quality of life. That is a value that you create. But the system compensates you based on a fee schedule, a fixed reimbursement per procedure, adjusted annually, always downward. Applied almost identically regardless of your experience, your outcomes, your planning, or your patient relationships. Those two things are not aligned, and they have not been aligned for a long time. So ask yourself, what percentage of my compensation actually comes from my expertise and judgment versus my willingness to tolerate administrative burden? If I redesign compensation around patient outcomes and value creation instead of throughput, what would change? Which activities create the most value for patients? Which activities generate the most compensation? Because for most surgeons, those activities are not the same. The things that create the most patient value: careful planning, thoughtful consultations, deep follow-through, time with them, presence, judgment. Those are often things the system rewards the least. And the activities rewarded most heavily are usually just volume and throughput. Divergence is not emotional, it's structural. And once you see it clearly, you cannot unsee it. The question this step answers: am I being compensated for the value I create, or for what the system is designed to measure. The fourth step is the one that changes the conversation. What would your compensation look like if 15 to 20% of your surgical cases were concierge patients paying directly for enhanced access, planning, and follow-through? I want to walk this through with you carefully because this is not a fantasy. This is just math. Start with the current scenario. High volume joint surgeon performing 200 to 300 cases a year. Standard insurance model. Compensation is driven primarily by RVU production. Overhead scales with volume. Time compression becomes normal. Now, the concierge model integrated scenario shows you a couple things. Instead of 200 cases, maybe you do 170, 180. The remaining 30 become concierge cases. Your hospital privileges stay the same, your insurance contracts stay the same, your referral relationships stay the same, insurance still covers the surgery itself. The concierge fee covers the enhanced experience around the surgery. Extended consultation, personalized planning, DME that they would need to buy anyway, direct access to you as a surgeon, etc., etc. That higher touch is important because those patients are paying directly for the value the fee schedule does not recognize. The profitability per concierge patient can dramatically increase in that situation. So total case volume may actually decrease, but the value per patient increases substantially. And in most markets, the result is the equivalent or higher revenue on fewer total cases. More time, better margins, better planning, less administrative burden. When you have significantly more margin in your life, your quality of life improves. Don't we all sort of want that? We all sort of want to work smarter, not harder. We all sort of want to work less and be compensated more, right? That's an honest human experience. Now, I want to be honest with you about something. The transition doesn't happen overnight. Month 1 is just setup and activation. Month 2 is your first concierge patients. Month 3 gives you some real-world response and conversion data. By month 6, most surgeons have had enough information to clearly understand the economics, the feedback loop is complete, and they're going. During that transition period, there may be temporary revenue adjustment. That's real, but it's temporary. And what surprises most surgeons is that by 6 months later, the financial improvement is not the thing they talk about the most. What they talk about is the medicine, the fact that they get more time with patients, better planning, more clear thinking, meaningful relationships. I always say the medicine that we went to medical school to do. A restored sense of craftsmanship, and for many surgeons, a feeling they have not experienced in years. That structure around them finally reflects the value they actually create. The question with this step answers, what does the math actually look like when I model a different structure? The fifth step is the one that puts everything into perspective. Where does your current trajectory take you in 5 years? Not just financially, across every dimension that matters. Your time, your energy, your presence, your career longevity and family and sustainability. Will your schedule become compressed or more intentional? Will you have more energy for sustained excellence or less? Will you feel more connected to the craft or more depleted by the system around it? And is your current pace physically and emotionally sustainable for another 5 years? Is it sustainable for another 10? Now ask the same questions on an aligned trajectory. A designed practice, fewer cases done better, more autonomy, more intentionality, more control over your time and your relationships. You don't have to make that decision today, but you owe it to yourself to model both futures honestly, because the decision you are making by not deciding is still a decision. It has a trajectory. The question this step answers for you, which path actually leads where you want to go? That's it. 5 steps. Calculate your hourly rate, map your time allocation, identify where value and compensation diverge, run the alternative scenario, and then ask the 5-year question. This framework is not designed to pressure you into a decision. It's designed to give you clarity, because clarity is where every good decision starts. And if today's numbers surprised you, well, good. That means you're finally measuring the right things, because surgeons are trained to evaluate every important decision through data, outcome, and long-term consequences. Your career deserves the same level of analysis. If this conversation resonated with you, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow along for more surgeon-to-surgeon conversations around autonomy, alignment, concierge orthopedics, and the future of medicine. And if you're wondering whether concierge orthopedics could actually fit into your practice, your personality, and your long-term goals, go to orthopedic-concierge.com and take the quiz. It's specifically designed for experienced orthopedic surgeons trying to determine whether this model is actually the right fit for them. Because if you're a surgeon who knows the system isn't working anymore, you're not crazy. You just need a different model. And that's what we talk about here at NAOCA.